Hey, how you doing? This is John, and welcome to John's Long Box. Wow, I'm actually on time for once. I thought the time change would mess me up, but it actually worked out. I don't know why. I thought I would have one less hour of sleep, but I had one more hour of sleep. I went on a mission and got myself some Tim Hortons coffee with the coffee grind floating in it because yesterday I drank Cafe Bustelo and wowie, zoom, zoom. I was insane, running around like a maniac. Uh, I got stuff done, but I tell you, man, when it crashes, you pass out. I slept on my chair for like 2 hours in the middle of the day. So it's good when you want to get stuff done. And like the truckers say, when you're at your peak, you got to take another pill to keep that going. You know, I should have had another cup of coffee when I was zooming. Kept that crash from happening. But holy moly! So anyway, there's a glare on this, but this is X amount of comics. I'm going to filibuster until I get a confirmation. How do I look? How do I sound? There's glare on this. This is X amount of comics because quantity over quality. And this is 1963 Whenelse Annual. And I'll talk more about that in a minute or two. Just to see how's everybody doing. It's a little chilly out here in New York, out on Long Island. The long box is on Long Island. Hey, Tony Dimes is here. Clear as a bell. Thank you. That's what I wanted to know. For those of you who do not know, Tony Dimes is my buddy. We work together, although we haven't been on a job in a long time, different jobs. He has a couple of hip hop songs, Sunday Gravy, over on Spotify. Tony, if you want to send on Twitter some links or anything like that you want to share, I'll put them in the description after this airs. I don't think I could do it while it's going on, or maybe I can. I'm just afraid if I'm going to mess it up. So there you go, Tony. So we got two people in the chat. One person says I'm clear as a bell, so I might as well stop the filibustering and we will talk about this comic. So a couple of weeks ago, I don't remember exactly, I did 1963. And 1963 was, I loved it. Definitely. Oh, thanks. Okay, Tony. 1963, for those of you who don't remember or missed it, it was a comic series by Image Comics, written by Alan Moore. And the premise was it was supposed to be the year 1963, what comic books came out if Image Comics was around in 1963. So it was a spoof, a love letter to old Marvel comics. Believe it or not, as much as Alan Moore is a diva and a trouble, he does love comics. He does love old comics. The problem is his personality. So I showed the Fury, which was like a Spider-Man Daredevil homage. The only one I didn't show, and I still can't find the comic, was the Tomorrow Syndicate, which was the Fantastic Four goof, which was really good. There was Horus, God of Light, which was like Thor. Anyway, you could see the video. But the problem was there was supposed to be 6 issues. I got all the 6 issues. And then they time traveled to the year 1993 when the comic actually came out. And then it was supposed to interact with all the modern Image characters like Shaft, Youngblood, and the Wildcats and things like that. But it never happened. And this is Don Simpson. Don Simpson was the letterer for, I think, 4 of the 6 comics. He got fired. And he talks about all this. So this is Don Simpson. Let's stop putting the cart before the horse. This is Don Simpson. And Don Simpson is telling what might have been. So this is a 1963 Whenelse Annual. So it's goofing on What If. It's goofing on Else When from DC. And it's telling what would have happened if the 1963 Annual actually came out. I have this. Was it part of Alan Moore's ABC line at some point? You have the 1963, or you have this. Orgo. Hey, Dan Sen here. Hey, Dan. Dan was on my channel a couple of weeks ago. We talked about his comics. Good to see you, Dan. Thanks for showing up. Dan, if you want to send a link too, send a link. Excuse me. Send a link through Twitter, and send me a private message, and I'll put a link in this description after it airs. I'm too scared to actually do it live. I don't want to mess anything up. So I don't. Let me answer the two ways that I think your question was 1963 part of Alan Moore's ABC line? No. ABC line was America's Best Comics. That was another, and that came out later, and that was part of Wildstorm Comics. Now remember, Image Comics kind of like fractured really fast, and Wildstorm broke off and became its own little imprint, and then was bought by DC. And that was the death knell for ABC Comics. Was Alan Moore swore that Alan Moore swore that he would never work for Marvel or DC again. So when Wildstorm got bought by DC Comics, he finished the current stories and then ended them all. I told you, Alan Moore is a diva. He's a lot of problem. And I'll talk about that as we go. So this was not part of ABC. Is this part of ABC? No, this is Don Simpson's. This is Fantagraphics. This is not part of ABC. So I hope I answered that question in the both ways that I thought it was asked. All right, so I seem to got some interaction. I have the 19. Not sure about this. The top 10 from ABC was. Oh yeah, everybody. Let's talk about ABC for a second, since 50% of my viewer audience is concerned about 1963. ABC was America's Best Comics. It was Alan Moore, and it was various artists. There was Top 10, which was the 10th Precinct. I freaking love that comic. It was a cop drama set in a world where everybody has superpowers. So the cops are superheroes, the perps are superheroes, the pedestrians are superheroes. Everybody had superpowers. It was pretty interesting, really cool. Great art by Gene Ha. Then there was a Gray Shirt and Cobweb. It was like a split book. And Gray Shirt was like a Spirit ripoff and homage, and Cobweb was like the femme fatale. She was like Silk Sarif. And I didn't realize that until I said that out loud, that Silk Sarif, and Silk is a spider product, and she's Cobweb. Okay, there you go. And then Tom Strong, which was my favorite, which was an homage to all like Doc Savage and all the pulp heroes. And then there was Johnny B. Quick, which was my least favorite. It was just a smart little kid, Tom Sawyer kind of thing. It was all right. And that was with what was it? The ink character made out of ink. I forget. But that was another split book, and I think that's all of them. I think that's all. Yeah. I think and then it was they were outstanding. I did it. One of my earlier videos was on Tom Strong. I really should go back to the top 2 America's Best Comics. They were amazing, great talents, great artists. And then Alan Moore just put him out of work because he didn't want to work for DC anymore. Like, I don't know, man. I might as well address this right now. I love Alan Moore, and the way I talk about Alan Moore is. If you're going out with a hot girl, okay, so you're going out with some real super hot girl that's way out of your league, and she's crazy and annoying, you're gonna put up with it because she's hot. You go out with a regular girl and she's crazy or annoying, you're gonna turn her around and say, like, listen, you got to knock this stuff off or we're over. And an ugly girl has to be really nice. She has to make cookies and do all the dirty little things you like, because so the moral of my story, the hotter the girl, the more nonsense you're going to put up with. Alan Moore, I'll put up with a lot of nonsense because he's got great talent, but ultimately I would not, me as a fan, I buy anything Alan Moore writes, but I always wonder, is it going to be completed? Is it going to be finished? Because the guy just all of a sudden throws a temper tantrum and he's done. He walks off something, and and that's what this comic is about. It's Don Simpson recollections of what happened with 1963, because a lot of people are bitter, a lot of people are mad, because the premise was these were supposed to be characters from Image Comics. It was retroactively supposed to be the past of Image Comics, so all of these characters were going to be then used and scattered about other Image Comics, and then the creators had the rights to them, and then the annual was going to complete the story, and then it was going to be put into a trade paperback, which would have been like republished, and you know, everybody wins, and then Alan Moore walks off. The legend was that they announced this at a Comic-Con, and Alan Moore said, "Yes, I'm going to write it." And apparently they were making it up as they went along. That's the story. Alan Moore says, "I want to do a series called 1963." I mean, Alan Moore says, "I want to do this." Are you going to say no? And he said, "Steve Bissett's going to draw this. You know, Rick Veitch is going to draw that." And, you know, and then Don Simpson goes, "And I'm going to let her." You know, everybody got it. And then Jay Lee stood up and said, "I'm going to draw the annual." Now, not Jay Lee, Jim Lee said, I'm going to draw the annual. So the last issue, the big 80-page giant, was going to be drawn by Jim Lee. Oh, what could have happened? And it never happened. That's infighting. Don Simpson got fired for the lettering. Steve Bissett said, "Yeah, Alan Moore has no ending. That's why he's not writing it." And then Alan Moore said to Steve Bissett, longtime collaborator, Swamp Thing, said, "We're done, buddy. You know, you don't diss on the diva, you know." So let's take a look at this comic. So X amount of comics, Elsewhere annual. This is brand new. This just came out, and I'm not going to read it. It's a gigantic book, but here's all this, you know. And for those of you who may or may not know, this is into what they call the Fiasco verse. This is Megaton Men. If you ever read Megaton Men by Don Simpson, a comic that I really, really like, this is set in that universe. And Megaton Man was a spoof on Superman. And then right away he meets the Megatropolis Quartet, which is the Fantastic Four, you know, and they even talk about that. It was a parody, a goof, and then it became its own thing, very serious, very drama, and that's very dramatic, and that's one of the things they talk about. And then, of course, all the tropes. There's the sidekick animals, the female versions. This is Yarn Man, who's supposed to be like the thing, and they're all signed in comic. And he said, like, some of the characters just had chemistry, so they became in relationships. And this is, you know, Affable My Ass, you know, because they had phony credits. Alan Moore was Affable Al, so he's goofing on Affable My Ass, Alan Moore. This is not too forgiving to Alan Moore. So the last thing that happened was everybody was caught in a vortex, and that was the last time we saw everybody. And now they're breaking through the vortex, and they changed. Why did they change? Because Don Simpson knows that all of these characters are owned by other people. So let's say by lawyers, but don't use this. Canceled, no more. You know, all these. And so Endman is now the Cycloptopus, or the Cyclopter. The Fury is this two-head, you know, and Horus, God of Light, is now Set, I think his name is. You know, they all, the USA is now the Ultra Special Agent or something. I forget what his name was, but he's now something else. You know, they all have different names. Why? So he could finish the story without anybody arguing. So what? You know, why did we change? What's going on? You know, what is it? 1963, is it 1963, 1993, 2023? You know, so they're keeping with the threes, and you know, it's just going on and on. Nobody. So now they're introducing it's Cyclopster in time. I go, can you see that? It's Cyclopster in time. Nobody loves the black bug. You know, born in the U.S. agent, drug. That's Dr. Ugg. Instead of I forget what the mystery character was, and this is Limberlass. She instead of I forget the name, and this is the new version of the Tomorrow Syndicate. The leader is just a beaker in a jar. Moonrock and Magma. You know, it's he's trying to finish the story, but he's goofing on the idea of alternate characters, alternate versions. You know, so she's got a bunch of legs. I am Quetzalcoatl instead of Horus. I'm the test tube that walks like a man. And then I am the Cyphernaut. So they're all and then this character just showed up. She's like, who am I? Who am I supposed to be? I don't even know who I am. So one new character all of a sudden comes in. The Helldiver. Who the heck is the Helldiver? She just jumps off buildings. Damned if I know. Infernal first issue. So now we just have, if you read Don Simpson, if you read Megaton Man, all of this will make sense. The psychic squid, it's just, it's satire, goofing, commentary on comic books and comic book collecting and the nature of it. I don't know. I get a kick out of it, but then I'm a weirdo. I love like little weird comics like Good Girls and Love and Rockets and Peep Show. But also keep in mind, I love superhero stories. So I don't blame anybody if they're not into Don Simpson. I particularly love the guy. I reached out to him, see if he wanted to come on my channel. He gave me like a list of demands, so I don't know. Again, I'll put up with nonsense for a hot chick. If Alan Moore gave me a list of demands, I'll do it. But Don Simpson's give me a list of demands. It's like, dude, you're not that hot. So, now they're talking about what is going on here. Now the characters are just explaining who they are and their powers. And, I don't know if he planned to make it this big or if he's just filling pages, but that's what it kind of felt like, and he's goofing on Image Comics having unnecessary splash pages, so he's doing that too. And now he's introducing that this is the alternate else when, what if 1963 was finished. So now we're finishing the story after all of this introduction. So they're just like the question markers. That's instead of the Tomorrow Syndicate and the Tomorrow. And keep in mind, this is set in Megaton Man's Fiasco verse, as they call it. So they're meeting the Tomorrow Syndicate, which is Goof on the Fantastic Four, is meeting the Megaton Man universe versions of the Fantastic Four, which is the Megatoropolis Quartet. How confusing is that? So they're all meeting each other and talking like, hey, how we must be we must be inspired by the same like source material. Like this, it's self-aware. They're realizing that they're parodies. Oh, you saw Don at a signing in Huntington? How was he? I'd love to get him on here. So, that's what, and then they're talking about the silhouettes, how silhouettes are important in comics. This actually made, these 2 pages actually made me change the silhouette of my character, the Patriarch. Good morning, Michael. Good morning. How are you doing? And if you'll indulge me for a second, I'll bring up this image. So this is my character that's going to be my comic, drawn by Renzo Rodriguez. I realized that the silhouette looks too much like Superman, so we changed the gloves and everything like that. So the silhouette will be a little bit different. But there you go. That's indulge me. But that I started talking about silhouettes over here and how important they are. So now again, more nonsense about the plot, characters. Wow, he looks just like me. Oh, what did I do? I hit a button. That looks like me. Oh, that looks like me. Yeah, I wish in my wildest dreams. It's funny because I was goofing with Chuck Dixon about self inserts, and he said, "Who's your?" I said to Chuck Dixon, "Who's your self insert character?" And he said, "The Punisher." And then after that conversation, I was just like, I got a little nervous. Am I making a self-insert in my character? And no, the Patriarch is not me. The Patriarch is a little background information. The Patriarch, my character, it started off as a goof. And then I started to realize I liked the character. I was making fun of like the patriarchy, and he has super senses, so he has the male gaze, and I made him up as a joke, and I started to really like him. I started to think it's really cool. Like he's basically an homage to all good fathers. He's everybody's dad. He's the Patriarch. He's married. He's happily married. He has 7 children. And then I realized I'm one of 7 kids. So like unconsciously, I must have like funneled my dad, even though my dad looked nothing like this. But I wanted, the Reed Richards look. I like the beard because, manliness and everything. And he's like an alpha male, but he's not like a jerk. He's not that guy in the gym like, hoo-ha! He's an alpha man, meaning he takes care of his family. He's loyal to his wife. He's a good dad. He sets an example for his children. He's loving and honest and all that good stuff. So he is what every dad, I don't want to say should be, because he's very good. His only flaw, and that you is he tries to project an image that he's in control, not like I am in control, like calm down, I got this. But he's not as powerful as he projects his image to be, and that is going to be a problem with him if my comic ever, if I make it a couple of issues, you'll see. So I again, he kind of started as a goof. My friend Mike and I were moving my comic book collection from my apartment to my house when I was like, yeah, I should make up the patriarch. That would really get under those. And the more I thought about him, I thought the patriarch here, my hand, the patriarch here, he's a perfect example of what happened with Don Simpson. He started out as a joke, and he grew into a character that I really, really like. And I think, wow, if I may sound pretentious, like I think it's important, because look what Marvel and DC are doing to all the father figures. Like, he's definitely looking like Reed Richards on purpose. I wanted this is classic older guy speak for characters. So he's a father. He's a good father. Like, he's conservative. He's actually it's you're going to see in his origin. He's a Protestant Christian, and he's very religious, but he's not preachy. He's like the perfect. If he was your next door neighbor, if you talk to him about your religion, he would be a little reluctant, because he's like, that's private. I don't talk about my politics. I don't talk about my religion. But if you got to know him, he would talk, and he's not preachy. He would help you. He loves his wife and husband. Mother and father, they love each other instinctively. They have 7 kids. They homeschool their kids. And then I was just like, he's also a survivalist, so he has a ranch up in the mountains that's inaccessible to anybody who can't fly. And because of his super senses, he has, like, I don't want to say omniscient, because that means, so I'm going to say like clairsentient. So he could send his senses outwards. So whatever he's thinking about, he could send his sense, and he could smell, he could touch, he could hear, and and see, obviously, wherever but then he's not aware where he is. So he has to be in a safe location to do that, because then he would be vulnerable. So he's always watching his family, making sure they're safe, because when he first started out, his wife was pregnant, and there was a threatening, villainous thing. So he's like, we got to get out of here. So he's protecting his family by protecting the world. My dad, your dads, you do to your children. You want to make the world a better place for your kids. Well, just imagine if you were a superhero. And he doesn't do it by over toppling governments. He doesn't do it by oppressing people. He does it by helping, by setting an example. But and I don't want to say lecturing, but he'll talk to people. Every once in a while he'll give press interviews, and he has no secret identity. Why? Because he's off the grid. And that's going to be a problem if I ever get to do more issues. Is his kids are going to get older. They don't want to live on a farm. It's time for kids to leave the nest. And also, in my world, you do not inherit superpowers from your parents. There's only one way to get superpowers, and I'm not going to spoil that. And I spoiled way too much, but you guys are, at the risk of sounding arrogant, I think you guys are probably already with me when I launch this comic, which, by the way, is the first couple of pages are being colored right now. So I see that there's comments. So good morning. Yeah. Oh, so that was the goof on that. So, to get back to this question, I have a whole slew of superhero characters, villain characters, and I'm trying to figure out which one is my self-insert. If I had a self-insert, it would be a Thing character. I love the Thing. I really identify with the Thing. What's it? Argo Comics, Dan Sen. He was fine. I actually talked more to Dave Ryan, who's a mutual friend. Okay. It's good to know that Don was great. John, you're a You are a cleansing respite in the silly, screaming, combative world. Thank you, old dirty fatty. Thank you. That actually got me a little bit emotional. Hey, Pops, how you doing, Pops? Love Pops. I love Pops. Everybody, this is Pops. Say hello to Pops, everybody. Another guy who's I I I I I think my comic book enthusiasm zeal is off the scale, and I think Pops is even higher. Pops loves comics. Agent Zero, good morning. Agent, driving and listening, please don't not get into an accident. Even though the patriarch saves a car crash in the first issue, he's not real. I'm behind. You behind in this chat, or you behind what I'm saying? I don't quite understand. But there you go. I like to acknowledge everybody, and thank you, Old Dirty Fatty. Thank you for coming. I think this is the first time you've been here for a Sunday comic. Same with Argo. Thank you, everybody. I appreciate it. This is great because these Sunday comics have just been me by myself for the longest time, and then we got a couple of regulars. Thank you. If anybody's seen or knows Lacey Lee, say hello to Lacey Lee. She used to be my only Sunday comics person. I didn't know this was a new release. Was it crowdfunded? I got this on Amazon. I joke around that whenever I this is from Fantagraphics. It was not crowdfunded. You could pick this up. It just came out. I heard about this because I listened to Ask Chuck Dixon. Ask Chuck Dixon it comes out every Wednesday on YouTube. Just type in Ask Chuck Dixon. It's Chuck Dixon's himself answering questions, so you can actually submit questions. His email is BrunoBookstore.com. So so you can email him. Ask Chuck Dixon at BrunoBookstore.com, and he'll answer your questions. I always try to get a question asked, and as I hit the I can't talk. Why am I doing a YouTube channel when I can't even speak? But he mentioned this, and I always joke. I told Chuck Dixon every time I watch Ask Chuck Dixon, it costs me $20. You know, like I'm not even joking. Because of Chuck Dixon, he talked about reading this. This sounded fascinating, so I got this. I just bought a couple of his novels. I bought this book, but I got this off of Amazon. So, so this is brand new as far as I know. Wow, I'm getting a lot of I'm getting a lot of comments. Usually I don't. On Sunday Comics is usually me reading to the void or Tony Dimes. Comics and the creators have provided me with life. Yes, I absolutely feel the same way. I actually feel the same way. This is going to sound awfully pretentious, but I just want to tell people this. I called Dave Sim, and Dave Sim and I have been calling each other back and forth for a week now. I don't think it's going to continue. I think we had a final conversation. Nothing bad. It's just that, what else we can talk about? He's not going to come on my channel. I understand his reasons. He doesn't like to. But that's one of the things we talked about is our love of comics, and I wanted to thank him for everything he's done. I know he's controversial, but that doesn't erase his contribution, and he's instrumental in the comic book history, and I don't think he should be forgotten about because of some controversial things that he said. What do we got here? Don Simpson's at HeroCons every year. Oh, cool. I dropped some shorts from Grand Rapids Com. Oh, cool. Okay. Chuck Show is part of my network. Yes. The Madness Comic Network is like a confederacy of YouTubers and comic book fans. I'm part of the network too. We'll see what happens in the future. It's a bunch of cool guys. Why can't I think of his name? Romo Arts, great guy. I was on his channel. He's nice to fans, but grumpy online. A little like Byrne. It's funny because I went to Byrne Robotics, which is the only way to contact John Byrne, and it says right on it, "Do not contact me about interviews. I will not do." What is he going to do? Beat me up? So I emailed him. Of course, I haven't heard anything, but you never know, right? You never know. I would love if I had John Byrne on this channel. Oh my God, John Byrne, Walt Simonson, Jim Shooter. Those are like my triumphant. Alan Moore, but I actually emailed Alan Moore's daughter because I can't get any Alan Moore contact information. I would love to talk to him. Okay, so I'm all caught up. So again, this is brand new, just came out. I got this a week ago. Matter of fact, I did a video of a back issue or monthly visitor. Yeah, I think it was my monthly visitor, my new comics for the month, and this was in it. So this is brand new, and I had to read it right away. So a lot of stuff doesn't happen on each particular page. It's mostly sitting around discussing things. It's like everything that's wrong with modern comics, but at the same time, it's kind of goofing on it, and that's kind of Don Simpson's style. It's it's the nature of comic books, like goofing on Alan Moore, goofing on himself, goofing on, and of course, Alan Moore is suffering for the sins of he's talking about Alan Moore's uh 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 pro why can't I even think he's dying for our sins. Paul Nabisco is Alan Moore. I don't know why. That's some joke that I don't get. And these are all the like his other workers. I don't know which one's Don Simpson. I don't know what Don Simpson looks like. So these are the other people getting hung with him. Alan Moore views himself as the martyr. Again, this is not very nice to Alan Moore. So this is all the characters like, what's going on? Why can't you do this? And he's explaining in like big words that don't really say anything about comic. And they're talking about why didn't you just use public domain characters? Then we could finish the story. And then of course the Big Bang universe open domain characters, public domain characters show up to answer that. It's kind of funny. And then he's goofing on a couple of the parodies, like they're merging together to form other characters. And what he's saying is comic books and superhero comics in particular are at the point now where there's nothing new original. They're just mashups of other characters. And I got to say, he has a little bit of a point to that. I'm only going to bust on myself. Does not look like, I'm going to talk myself out of sale, but yes, it looks like other superheroes. That's the point. My comic is an homage to the classic comics that we all love and reread and really like. So it would have made no sense to make him completely new and everything. But I think I put a classic spin. I think I put a new twist, a new spin on the comic book tropes. Pops is talking. I just opened discussion with Jim Shooter, met him last year. Oh, I got Jim Shooter's phone number. I don't know why I've been too intimidated to call him. I should call him. I met Jim Shooter at a bar here. He's really nice. We talked for about an hour. Oh, great. Maybe that'll assuage my, I don't know. He just looks like he would yell at me. So now they're talking about this is a Pictopia. And I didn't know about this, but apparently Pictopia is a comic that Alan Moore and Don Simpson worked on before Megaton Man. So, of course, I'm on the lookout for Pictopia. He's selling himself. And now we're talking about British characters, Judge Dredd, of course, they're fighting, a little bit of violence, unnecessary splash pages, but, the chapter breaks, And this is really interesting because Helldiver, this new character, she has a big part in this comic. So I wonder if anything was going on or if he's just trying to sell it. And then it says variant cover. So now he's goofing on the variant cover tropes. Girl teams, come on, we gotta form a girl team, whether you want to or not, and then all the, whatever, it doesn't matter. Another nutty 1963 knockout, another splash page, because this is they sell more than the original art sells more. That was one of my big problems with Image Comics. Another splash page. And I don't know about you guys, but I really like Don Simpson's artwork. I think it's goofy, but great storytelling. The only problem is at this point it's so self-referential that this is like, I've been reading. I think Don Simpson's first comic was Megaton Man #1. I've been reading that since it came out. I was working in a comic book store. It caught my eye. It made me laugh, the only time I didn't get it was when I didn't know any came out, and I since bought them. So I look up people like Don Simpson because he's kind of under the radar. And I get, but like if you like Tony Dimes, have you ever heard of Don Simpson? Have Argo? Well, I know Argo did, but like Old Dirty Fatty, Michael Williams, do you guys, Marcus, do you know Don Simpson's? And if you bought this, would you be able to just jump in and and understand what's going on. So we're talking about, what is her name? Phantoma. She's another public domain. Why do I say open domain? And it's just Ultraman and the Night Watchman from Big Bang Comics, which is public domain. I think they're in FemForce. Yeah, so Tony says he never heard of him before. So I mean, I do recommend this, but just understand, it's like sometimes like Doctor Who. I don't mind that Doctor Who kind of like starts all over again every once in a while. Like, it doesn't disregard everything. It just becomes self-contained, and then it builds up. And then once you get invested, it'll start bringing stuff slowly from like the reboot with the Ninth Doctor. Why can't I think of his name? But that was brilliantly done. You didn't really need to know anything about Doctor Who to get caught. This is just, you're jumping into a running stream. You're jumping right into a fast moving. Don Simpson ran a few things in Yeet recently, including Victory Folks, to take up. Oh, Argo, Dan, could you send me a message on Twitter about that? I'd like to check that out. Okay, again, unnecessary splash page featuring the Legion of Extravagant Avatars. So these are all other characters. And what are they doing? See, so now it's funny that this is going to tie into the Patriarch. This is Rex Rigid, Balloon Man, well, Liquid Man. He's Rex Rigid, Liquid Man, the living water balloon, and it's just ridiculous. And he's the leader of the Megatropolis Quartet, so he's the Reed Richards parody. This is the Living Test Tube, which is another Reed Richards parody, and this is I forget what they call him, but he was the leader from the Tomorrow Syndicate, and they're all different versions of Reed Richards, and they're all jerks. Rex Rigid is the worst jerk. Why? Because I've seen him for 30 years, even more, just being mean to his wife. The Invisible Woman stand-up. He's manipulative. He's overbearing. And Don Simpson was the first, believe it or not. As much as I love Don Simpson, my biggest bone of contention was how he treated the Reed Richards character. I love Reed Richards. My top favorite superheroes is Ben Grimm, the Thing. I love Ben Grimm, the Thing. I love the Thing. My second favorite superhero of all time is still Superman. I love Superman. I might not like, I really haven't liked Superman comic books for decades, but I love Superman. And then my third is Reed Richards. I loved Reed Richards. Reed Richards was cool. I don't even, believe me, if I was given a choice by the powers that be, that you could have any superpower that you want, I would never pick stretching powers. I don't like, but I liked Reed Richards. He was, I had a good dad, my dad was a good guy. I have a lot of respect for fatherhood and everything. And then to make the Reed Richards is the patriarch of Marvel Comics, and make him a jerk, make him a bad guy. Like, he was the first. And I wonder, like, hate to say this, but like this hatred of father figures is definitely like a progressive trait. And Don Simpson really is. He's a progressive guy, from even the things he says in this book. And I'm like, ooh, that's so cringy. That's so cringy. Is like hating your dad just a sign of like extreme leftism and collectivism or something? I don't know. So I don't like the way fathers and Reed Richards have been portrayed in comics. And that's one of the reasons I'm going to bring up my image again, that I made this guy, because, dad's a cool. And I got my first fan art. My friend Anton Griffin drew that, and here you go. This is page 2 of my comic, the rough layouts by Renzo Rodriguez. Here he is showing up, So yeah, so there you go. You guys getting some inside information over here, and it's being colored now. The first 2 pages are being colored now. All right, so the Limberlass. This is the Sue Richards. So she is the Elsewhere version. I think she was called Neon Girl in 1963, and in the Megaton Man universe, it was the See-Through Girl. He sounds like my version of Jor-El. Hi, Jeff. Jeff was on my channel. Jeff, you could come back whenever you want. I really enjoyed our conversation. You and Warduke. He's not my version of Jor-El. He's my version of the good father who became a superhero. And you know, his thing is he idolizes the superheroes before him, like the golden age superheroes. So that's what he's trying to do. I'm gonna, if my comic makes it to about 9 issues, the 9th issue, I want to have it drawn in an image style with big pockets and splash pages, and it's going to talk about, you know, the 90s in my superhero world, and what happened. And then you know, so that the Captain Atlas is my Superman ripoff, you know, homage. And Captain Atlas was an astronaut who got his powers and everything like that, and he was a good guy, and he is the most powerful superhero. You know, he could beat the Hulk, but he's got problems, as you will see if I make it to issue 5. And Patriarch idolizes him because he's a good guy. He's a good superhero, and so he tries to act like Captain Atlas, but he has a fraction of the power of Captain Atlas, and it's going to get him in trouble. You know, drama, superhero drama. It's got to be stakes. Can't be a Mary Sue. And I said Mary Sue on purpose because issue 2 is a Mary Sue on purpose. I'm trying to goof on stuff. It's funny. Again, this is talking about how all of these parody comics, parody characters became their own characters, became serious. And that's one of the things that that Limberless talks about is you can only do parody so long before you start adding in elements, and those elements create drama, and the drama creates seriousness and tension. And parody comics, if they last long, become serious comics. Now, I'm gonna go on a limb because I have not read one issue of any Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. But Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, I do know, has The Last Ronin, which is not funny at all. It's not supposed to be funny. It's tense. It's drama. It's exciting. It's got high stakes. And I think Don Simpson is right. If you make a parody and put it out longer and longer, it will become its own thing. And that's exactly what happened to the Patriarch. I made him up as a goof. This will teach those SJWs, and I love the character. I think he's a great character. Then I made up issue number 1 of my comic. My comic is going to be called Heroic Tales. Issue 1 was supposed to be Mary Sue. Mary, and then SU. It's a Chinese name. She's a Chinese woman who gets superpowers, and she becomes perfect. And that was supposed to be a goof until I realized I love the character, and she's, I think, a great character. So issue 1 is going to be the Patriarch. Issue 2 is going to be Mary Sue. And if I make it to issue number 3, it's the Raven. And the Raven is a hero like Batman or the Punisher with consequences. You can't just go around beating the crap out of people. And what would happen? You can't just kill people, shoot people, and leave. And, you know, it's enough said, the better. It's going to be a horror comic if I make it to issue 3. We got Dr. Ben. Dr. Ben. Dom Simpson absolutely despises Comicsgate. Just heads up, she's the person who recently threw a fit and got me canceled because, are you calling Don Simpson a she? Is that information I don't know, or is that a typo? But he got you. Yeah. I'm not holding my breath that Dom Simpson will come onto my channel. But when I saw the way he treats fathers, I knew he was a super progressive SJW, one of these people. Hail and sorry, Dr. Ben. Oh, okay. Is something going on that I don't know about? Okay, I don't know. Okay, high stakes. We'll cover the JL8 on the show-offs. I'll send you the link if you want to pop in. Also showing, oh, cool. For those of you who do not know what Pops is talking about, I think it's 3:30 Eastern Standard Time. He does a series with Texas Dave called The Show-Offs, where they show off their comic collection. They just showed off all of their Thor comics, and he invited me, and I joined a few of them. It was a lot of fun. And now I guess they're done with Thor, and they're going to start with the JLA. Man, if you could wait a couple more weeks, I might be getting a comic collection with JLA 1 to 100. Yeah. Right now, I only have 5 and up, so I'll be able to finish my JLA collection. But anyway, back to Don Simpson. Yeah, the way he treats fathers. And Don Simpson is a direct influence on my comic. You know, I made a response to him, and then it took on its own life and became a real good guy. The time changes really hit me on the butt. Yeah, I know. we fell back, so I got an extra hour's sleep, so I'm actually pretty good. So again, it's they're all meeting their analogs. They're, you know, Magma Man and whatever are being melted into the one character, because that's, you know, that's the only way to create new characters, you know. And now they're going into Alternity, the multi mentions. You know, now he's goofing on I like, he's goofing on all these multiple universe, multiverse stuff, and how there's no consequences, you know, all different versions of the same character, and one dies, just pull another one out, which I really love. And then we got a Megaton Man shows up. You know, so Megaton Man is Trent Flug, reporter. He's the main character of the Fiasco verse, and he's dumb as a box of rocks. He's got a heart of gold, but he's kind of dull, and even Don Simpson knows that he's kind of dull, and he you know, they expand out with other characters. These two different versions of themselves are meeting each other and arguing which one's better, and she's like, but I'm a more valid form of cultural expression, blah 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 blah, and you're not dressed modestly, you know. So I mean, it's kind of funny that he's goofing on all these progressive stuff, you know. So like, but he hates Comicsgate. It's like, you know, if anything, Don, I hate when I get political, but if anything, Don, you should understand Comicsgate, because you're a victim of it. Your own buddies canceled you. You know, your own buddies canceled you, kicked you off your title. You scrounging for work, and then when I ask him to come on my channel, he gives me a list of demands. It's like, come on. So now again, different dimensional versions are meeting each other. You know, this is the see-through girl, and of course, because of progressivism, she becomes Earth Mother, and she's the most powerful goddess and everything like that. You know, the two versions of Reed Richards or the three versions of Reed Richards are all meeting each other, and they're all jerks. This I like. We're hideous freaks. The two Ben Grimms are meeting each other. You know, the two Human Torches are meeting each other. You know, all the versions of the Invisible Woman with their children. You know, the League of Animals, the Megaton Mice, and the Cosmic Cats, and you know, it's. Does it sound confusing? Yes. Is it confusing? Yes. but is it worth it? Yes. And then the Alan Moore stand-in is just typing away, ignoring all of this consequence. You know, this is he's supposed to be like 30-40 feet away from all of these superheroes fighting. He's ignoring the world because his typewriter is more important. I'm creating, you know. And that's another thing, is the saying that the annual never happened because Alan Moore never wrote it. They were just bragging, you know, and it never happened. So, you know, he's just like, I need to finish the story. I need to finish the story. And of course, you know, they got to fight. The chicks, even though you're just cultural appropriating, and you're just too sexy. Now they're getting along because all girls get along in comics. The fight, and they're talking about, we're having a fight because it's a comic book and they have to have a fight. This fight has no meaning. This fight has no consequences. They're rating the fight. They take it, you know, and the Human Meltdown is shooting his lava at him, and it's whatever. It's just silly. And then they're talking about the bug. It's like, if we were friends, we could meet someplace like on the Statue of Liberty, and you know, you know, it's you know, deep lore. You know, Don Simpson was there when the deep lore, when the old magic was written, and whatever. You know, they're talking about, again, who cares? It's getting on borderline pretentious, not borderline. It crossed the line. This is just super pretentious right now. So it's going on, and they're coming to Alan Moore, who's explaining, you know, he's went from a typewriter to a laptop. You know, he's getting with the time, and now they're throwing out the scripts, and they're reading the scripts. This is what's supposed to happen, and they're like, what? And then oh yeah, the Microman and Infragirl, those were in the Tomorrow Syndicate. They show up now, but they're now the Minutia Man and Magnifigal, you know, because he can't use the 1963, because I think it's still like legal problems, who owns what. And the only thing is completely understood is Don Simpson owns none of them. So he turns back into his regular self and then transforms back. You know, all the tropes. I don't know why. Does anybody still read Fantastic Four? Is it any good? I mean, Fantastic Four is my favorite comic of all time. You know, it's the comic that kept me loving comics throughout my whole life. And then I don't know, they just started, even in the 90s, even before this progressive era, they started pooping on Reed Richards. Reed Richards is everybody's dad, and that's why everybody hates their dad. So they got to make fun of him. Again, maybe my dad was a good guy. Was he perfect? No, And then there's a furry version of them, goofing on that. And you know what? I'm not going to show the rest because I just realized this is brand new. That's my policy, is not to show brand new comics. I'm not a pirate site. But it goes on and on and on and on and on. But this I really like. Is first off, he talks about how Alan Moore told Don Simpson that this is from issue 1 of Megaton Man. Stella Starlight, the see-through girl, that's the Invisible Woman character. She goes on patrol with Megaton Man, the man of molecules, and they're flirting with all the buildings in the background. And Alan Moore told Don Simpson, I wasn't there, I'll take Don Simpson's word, that Alan Moore directly lifted Dr. Manhattan and the Silk Spectre scene from issue 1 of Megaton Man. And then here is Anachrony lessons. So this is text of all the stuff that happened. So there's Don Simpson. This is the whole 1963 team, except Alan Moore, talking about what happened. Here's another scene of them on patrol. There's another, so I just think you're what's the word, and then of course this is her talking about how bad the Reed Richards character is. He's a jerk. There's great evil in this world, and I'm protecting you from it by being an oppressive, overbearing jerk. I just don't like the way they treat the Reed Richards. And then this is all the references, so you could go panel by panel. It's like a text. 1963 is coming. The original. So that was worth the price of admission. So as I was saying before, but I'm easily distracted, especially on my 4th cup of coffee. Don Simpson has a lot of negative things to say about Alan Moore in the series, but at the same time, he wants us to understand that Alan Moore was inspired by him. So this just sounds like more like jilted little kid, oh, Daddy used to spank me. Daddy's a jerk. Daddy, please love me. So enough about said that. Better. Yeah, I'm definitely not getting Don Simpson's coming on my channel after all this. All right, so let's see what people have to say. Good to know. I like Simpson's work, but do not want to get into an argument with him. Yeah, I don't want to get into an argument with anybody. I want to get Kelly Sue DeConnick. I want to get Heather Antos on my channel, not to argue with them, but to actually talk. Have an adult discussion, have an adult argument, like 2 points. I'm not here to crush anybody or to own the libs or anything like that. I just like comics, and I think preaching to the choir, talking to the choir, as fun as it is, I would like to have somebody from the other. And I did have a few people who have different politics than me, but we talked about comics. I love Megaton Man. Yeah, me too. My Megaton Man it was so good. I really and they're dirt cheap if anybody wants to get them. Maybe I'll show Megaton Man #1. I think it's in my pile of stuff that I want to show off. Don Simpson can ink. Yes. He inks and he does all the lettering. He did all the lettering for, I think, 4 out of the 6 issues of 1963. I read a single anniversary of FF recently. It was decent. Had Dr. Doom in it. No idea. Okay. I think the last I quit in I quit in 2015, and then I bought the James Robinson run. I think it lasted like 19 issues or so, and I haven't read it yet. So I got FF in my to read. I'm kind of scared to read it. He's good at parody, yes, and I'm going to lay my cards on the table. I don't like parody. I don't know what it is. I don't like parody. I just had Elon Mudd on my channel yesterday. He's doing a parody of comics. Instead of the Punisher, it's the Plunger, and it was funny and everything like that. But I'll get it because I liked him. So you check out my interview. I don't say interviews anymore. Interview involves like me writing down questions. I just call it a conversation because it's always organic. A conversation with Elon Mudd, the creator of the Plunger. I was kind of iffy on it until we talked, and he's a good guy. I'll be back in his comic. But parody is tough. I also had Don Simpson on my channel, who is famous for parodies. And I don't like parodies, but I like Elon, and I like Don. I've got it here somewhere. Oh, he's good at you got what? Oh, the FF annual. Yeah. So there you go. This is X amount of comics. Megaton Man in Pictopia. Dandy Don's. Here's the back. I don't think this ever came out in floppies. I would love to have seen this in color, but I got it on Amazon. I don't know if you could get it at local bookstores. I'm sure they would order it for you. It's Fantagraphic Books. It's worth it if you're into all this. If you're curious about Alan Moore, if you're curious about Don Simpson, or if you're curious about what happened to 1963, I mean, this is about as niche as you could possibly get. This is, oh, geez, long-haired, graybeard. This is like going off to the libraries of Gondor to read 2,000-year-old scrolls about the lore of ring making to get stories. You know what I mean? Like Tony. Yeah, I if you were to buy this, would you enjoy it? I don't know. I think this is just like, the old magic, but I'm a fanboy, even though I'm a fanboy. What else do you want me to say? I quite didn't understand the difference between Iron Age and comics. Yeah, me neither. And to tell you the truth, I don't care. And if they're feuding, then shame on them. Keep fracturing. Comicsgate, to me, is a loose confederacy of individual like-minded people. It's I don't think it's a union. I don't think it's a club. I don't think there should be hard, fast rules. I think it's just our response. There you go. There's the word. To me, John over here at John's Long Box, gray bearded old lunatic. I think the Comicsgate is a response to mainstream comics, and that's it. There's no rules, and I know Ethan is the cult leader, and I will never say anything bad about Ethan. He deserves everything that he got. He deserves all of success. He's a charismatic guy, and I do think that this crowdfunded independent thing maybe would have collapsed if not for him. And I don't like to see him and Eric July fighting. I don't know if it's real. I don't know if they're fighting or and Iron Age. I do like the name Iron Age because we had the Golden Age, we had the Silver Age, we had the Bronze Age. When did the Bronze Age end and when did the Iron Age begin? Because what is there a Copper Age? I don't know. I would love to see a list of the definitive names of the ages of comics. Because if you just want to call this the Iron Age of comics, then that includes Marvel and DC because it's just an age. So if people, and again, I'm speculating because I don't know. If they're like outing people and stuff like that, how can people in the Golden Age couldn't tell other people you're out of the Golden Age if it's just the name of an age of comics? So I don't know. Iron Age is a train that's coming. Okay. What is this comic? The Plunger. Help the Plugged Up. What do we got? Chuck cost you $20. You cost me $20. But zero. There you go, Dan. Yeah, it's funny, and I've had people tell me that I've cost them a fortune in comics since I started, and I don't know how I feel about that. I'm like, oh wow, cool, I got fans, but I'd say don't hang on my every word. I'm, the only money I want you to spend is on Heroic Age when that comes out. Exactly. CG is a responsive market. Yes. It's a response to it's a response to mainstream comics and how they would treat them. I say this, like, I would love to explain to Heather Antos and Gail Simone, Comicsgate is your monster. Your Victor Van Frankenstein, and Comicsgate is the creature that just wanted to be loved and respected, and you spurned. That's it. It's all on you. There are no, Sanjith Adji is Comicsgate, talks about the Iron. Okay, I don't know who that is. Eric July can't take criticism. I don't know. Maybe that's true. Maybe that's not true. Eric July was on my channel, and I'm making it a policy not to talk behind anybody's back. So if I say anything about Eric July, it'll be on Twitter where he could say it, but I honestly don't know if he can't take criticism or not. I haven't seen it. I try to stay out of the of the drama. He's thin-skinned. I tried to stay out of the drama. Um, it's no secret. I'm not flawed by Isom. I don't understand what the character's name is, and to me, the name is everything. If a character, a superhero, I'm talking about a superhero with a bad name, everything is bad after that. You know, like Cable, terrible name. You know, so I hope when I explain the patriarch, I hope it makes. Matter of fact, let me ask you: does everything that I said about the patriarch, does it make sense? Does it focus, like the superhero name is the focus of the character? And until I know what Isom means, I'm confused. You know, and I will never say anything bad about Eric July. Hey, Matt Bear is here. Matt Bear is the as a fellow, well, he's not in New York anymore, but he's an old school New York punker like me. We probably slam danced and land on top of each other. I probably have Matt Bear's sweat on me some point in my life. And he's the artist of Rock and Roll Ninja. And what was the name of the band? Uzi something. What was the name of the band of Rockford? I thought it was so clever, and then I woke up today and I can't remember the name. I thought it was a great name. What's up? Madness. We got Pops again. Polito was the first big crowdfunding credit. Yes, Polito is doing it right. He's in his own world. He's not inviting drama. He's doing his own thing. He's a good guy. Hail Matt Bear. You know, Polito. I would love to get Polito on my channel. And before I knew Tucci with doing it, yeah, Polito was the first. He was a pioneer. He was before your boy Zach. The human element is the one thing. Yeah, you can tell the coffee's kicking in, huh? The human element is the one thing that corporate marketing gets. Yes. And I'm sure Matt Bear could back me up on this. The thing about Comicsgate, the thing about crowdfunding is it's the smallest possible team ever. Usually it's one person. Now I'm writing a comic. I got Renzo Rodriguez doing the art, and I have Oscar. I'm looking up his name because I know I'm going to say the wrong name. Oscar Carreno is doing the coloring. I do not know who is doing the lettering, but it's a small team, you know, and I'm laying out the money. So I'm the one. If it fails, it's on me. And if it succeeds, it's because of Renzo. Let's be realistic. That guy's art is amazing. And Oscar's coloring is amazing. I want to ask Matt a question if he's still in the chat. Matt, give me just say hello or something like that. If you're still in the chat, I want to ask you something. You expect rationality from people who have none. Yeah. Talk to some people. I would love to talk to people. And, you know, people give me nonsense. I would love to talk. I would love to have Gail Simone on my channel and talk, you know, in good faith. If she's coming on to mock me, I actually had a horrible dream. I forget who it was, but they invited me on their channel, and it was like a gang up. Like they it's no surprise I have a past too. There's things you could find out about me that would make you not like me. You know, I'm sure you all have skeletons in your closet, and they exposed them on the internet. Oh man, I woke up screaming. Isom didn't look that good to me, and I didn't order it, so I can't say that. Yep, you know, buy what you like for $35, Marcus. Buy what you like. I don't blame you. You know, I promise to you guys. I'm pointing the wrong way. I promise to you guys that I want to make a profit on my comic. Let's be realistic. I want to make enough money until I want to make enough. My goal is to retire. I don't want to do construction anymore. Okay. So I want to make a fortune. I want to be able to pay for my house, you know, take my wife out to dinner and make comic books. But realistically, I just want to break even. I would like to make a couple of dollars, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I also don't want to spend $35 for a floppy comic. You know, I understand this is Bidenomics right now. So I want to make it as cheap as possible, as affordable as possible for you guys to get my comic. I would like to get as many people buying my inexpensive comic as possible rather than 100 people. If I'm only printing 100 comics of my comic, and even if everybody loves it, I think I failed. You know, I think I failed. If I'm only printing, I don't know, 500 copies of my comics and selling out, I think I failed. You know, I'm sorry. I would like to sell at least 1,000 of my comic. Just otherwise, what's the point? You know, what's the point? You know, am I being crazy? Am I being unrealistic? I guess Matt's not here. I got the $5 pull up of Isom. I was entertained. You know, yes. I'm not going to say anything else because I don't want to say anything bad about Eric July. Rippaverse will be good. Chuck Dixon, of course, yeah. Chuck Dixon and Mike Barron, you can't miss. You know, you know, I was going to make a basketball analogy, and then I realized that I can't. I don't know anything about basketball, but yeah, you're gonna get Lou Gehrig and Babe Ruth on your team. You know, whatever you get legends, absolute legend. And at that point, I might as well announce that. Well, it's already up, but Mike Barron will be back on my channel. I think it's the 10th. $35 plus $15 shipping for a comic book. Yes. This was $20. This is $20. I got it on Amazon, free shipping. This is, you know, this is $20 for $35. I basically got this, and that's my biggest criticism. And I said it to Eric July to his face, so I don't feel like I'm being a jerk or tattletaling in anything or telling tales out of school. And you could actually, if you watch my video, you could see his facial reaction. I don't think he particularly liked what I said, but I'm not gonna lie, $35 for a comic book. Even with Mike Barron and Chuck Dixon, and you know, if the Rippaverse is going to grow and expand to 7 titles, that's frequently, and they're all $35, I don't know if I could be part of that, just economically. You know, I'm sorry, like I was buying everything by Marvel and DC, but they were the price of a candy bar. I paid $16 for my copy of Ice. I like $5 books. Pops, I'm with you on that. Now I'm in the process of looking at how much it costs to print a comic, and I also know there's economies of scale. So I am trying to get the most inexpensive comic that I can make without putting myself into debt. I'm sure we're all adults here. We all understand I need to make some money. You know, even if I just break even, I will continue. But you know, the goal is to become a comic book guy and no longer wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning and lift 150-pound pipes in mud pits all day. Pops with the meta hype over the first issue, expected criticism. Yes. Now, in Eric July's defense, a lot of the criticism has been absolutely ridiculous, over the top, and quite frankly, bizarre. All the guy did was put out a comic book. The guy loves comic books. He put out a comic book. Did everybody like it? No. You know, and I don't even think Eric July would get mad at that statement. You know, it was his first comic. It was his first attempt. My only criticism, well, I got 2 criticisms. I don't understand what the name Isom means, and it's expensive. You know, other than that, you know, I would have been happy if that came out in you know, in the newsstands at a regular price. You know, there's nothing wrong with it. His enthusiasm, he's a charismatic guy, and we all have to be our own Stan Lee, and he's doing a great job being his own Stan Lee. You know, Ethan Van Sciver is being his own Stan Lee. You come out, hey, true believers, I got the greatest comic. And for me to be Stan Lee right now, I will say this: if you like superhero comics, you will like my comic. No lie. I could say that with 100% guarantee. Now, will you think it's worth the price? I can't answer that. I don't know your economic situation, and I don't know the price of the comic. You know, but yeah, but past Masterson, the criticism that Eric July has been getting is bizarre. And if the guy is circling the wagons and protecting his feelings or protecting his business or whatever, I don't blame the guy. Full power to Eric July. He's a great guy. Again, I may be a jerk. I may have done bad things in the past, but I am loyal. Anybody, you guys, all guys in my chat, people who've come to on my channel, people who've been supporting my channel, I will not say anything bad about you. You know, I'm loyal to you. If you have a comic book and you've been on my channel, I'm buying your comic book, unless I don't even want to say things out loud, but unless bad situations happen, I will buy your comic. Pops, I'm loyal to Pops. Pops was a good guy. I like Pops. I was entertaining. I'm looking forward to where it goes. I'm not a critic. My opinion is, yeah, okay. I don't consider myself a critic either. You know, a lot of people say I review comics. I say I showcase comics. People say I interview creators. I say I have conversations with them, because you know what? If Chuck Dixon is in my house, I think the only difference between how I talk with Chuck Dixon in my house and online is I'd probably curse more. You know, I try not to curse online, because I want kids to like comic books, you know. And that's another thing. My comics will be as if they were Comics Code Authority. Maybe one issue might be a little too violent. The vigilante comic might be a little too violent, but that's the whole point of him, that it's supposed to be shocking. I have trouble backing what I do back. Do you mean money wise, or you just don't like it? I have inexpensive comics on Indie Planet, but you'll lose money in the long run. Unfortunately, a little higher price but yeah. For those of you who don't know what Argo is talking about, this is my buddy Dan. Dan was in my comic book store when we were kids. So I've known him since we were kids. He's been making comics for over 20 years now, and he's still doing what he's got to do to pay the bills. If you enjoyed it, that's the point. Yes. If make comics enjoyable again, as RJ from the Fourth Age. I doubt he can make every book 80 pages, hoping this becomes I'm with you there. If it's $35 a comic and it's frequent and there's a whole line, because I'm a completionist, I have to get everything, and I have to get Chuck Dixon, I have to get Mike Barron. 70, 100. That's a lot of money. Harsh to the nth. Some are just shot takers. I agree with you. I hope Eric does very well. Yes. A rising tide floats all boats, Marcus. I wish Eric all success he can have, and I wish he all the success. I wish he makes all the comics. For so many reasons. Why does anybody want badness on a guy who's just making a comic book, especially if you're in comic books? Logistic is key at any. I'm about to learn a harsh lesson on that. If Eric had not offered those $5, I wouldn't have been able to read it at all. I didn't get ISOM because I just didn't understand the superhero name, and I didn't like the $35 price tag. I didn't realize that it was a oversized comic, so I didn't get it. So I ended up spending $70 on eBay because Eric was going to come on my channel, and then I backed number 2 because now it's the least you can do to a guy who comes on your channel. But whatever. Okay. Worst thing you could say about I don't shut up. I get that. Yeah, well, me too. But the $5 cost screws over. I didn't want to say it, but I was a little like, oh damn. But I also had to get the A cover. So I don't think it was the A cover that was being offered. I think it was the C cover. I only get the A cover of any comic book because I'm not going to put up with variants and all that nonsense. And here I am hypocritical because I'm talking to people about variant covers for my comic because let's be realistic, they sell. And if I could offer a really cool variant cover to sell my comic, am I a bad guy? I'm literally asking you guys, is this bad? Is this bad to do this? Is what you do promote book 2? You make book 1 available to. Yeah, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. It was only cover 3. It had no perks. Yes. So there we go. We're all caught up on all the. I guess Matt Baer came in, said hello, and said goodbye. I wanted to ask him a question, but all right. We've been talking for an hour and 15 minutes. I don't know what else to say, guys. This was a very lively discussion. Thank you. That was very, very pleasurable. A lot of fun. And I got to go outside and rake some leaves. So I'm gonna go eat a little bit of breakfast and then go and rake leaves. The gutters, I cleaned the gutters last week. I went on the roof with the leaf blower, blew out all the gutters, and it's as if I never did it. You can't even see the driveway. It's a carpet of leaves again. It's that time of year, and I'm underneath a plethora of trees. So thanks a lot, everybody. Thanks for coming. For those of you who I asked for links, send me links on Twitter. Private message me. My DMs are open, and I will include all of the links that we talked about, even if we didn't talk about it. If you're in this chat and you got a link to that you want, I'll put it in the description. Pops, a couple of variants is okay, but man, some people got 50. Yeah, I'm going to Renzo Rodriguez. I told him that I wanted him to do the cover. I'm like I said, I may be a jerk, but I'm a loyal jerk. I want Renzo to do the cover to my comic. Why? Because he's doing the interiors. He is doing the work. He's doing the sweat. I want him on the cover. Plus, he's amazing. So then I asked him, would it be okay? And I'm not announcing who I'm talking to about a variant cover. And he said, yes, do that, because that will sell the comic. And then I get to work with you longer. What a great guy Renzo is. He's a living saint. He's a living saint. I love him. So So I got the blessing. Again, I asked Renzo, I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. I don't want anybody to be surprised. And I don't want to feel like because I said I don't want variant covers and I want you to do the cover. And now I'm thinking about variant covers. So, I wanted to talk it with, my partner. He's my partner. And he gave me the blessing. So there you go. I'll give you guys more information when I have more information. But I will say this, the variant cover will be an exclusive only on Fund My Comic. It'll only be on Fund My Interior Artists should always get the A cover. You're absolutely 100% right, Pops. All right, but I gotta go. So if I'm done raking the leaves in time, Pops, I'll pop on your channel. If I don't pop on your channel, that's because the endless leaves have enveloped me, and I've gone to Narnia. All right, thanks a lot, everybody. Bye bye.